Hi friends, it's Kristen. Welcome back to my channel, or welcome if you are new here. Today I am going to be sharing with you the second edition of my summer reading book list. I filmed this video a little while ago with all the books I read previously and you all really seem to enjoy it. I just picked up a bunch of new books from the library today, so I just figured I would share them with you all and give you some book and reading inspiration for this summer. If you want to go ahead and watch that video, I will link it up above and in the description. So I'm just going to go ahead and get started. I have 5 books to share with you, and the first one I actually included in my previous video, but I didn't read it yet, and I actually didn't include the description of that book just because I had so many other ones that I talked about. I wanted to keep that video relatively short, so since I didn't read it yet, I'll just go ahead and share it with you now. And this one is called All the Light We Cannot See by Anthony Doerr. Marie-Laure lives with her father in Paris near the Museum of Natural History, where he works as the master of its thousands of locks. When she is 6, Marie-Laure goes blind, and her father builds a perfect miniature of their neighborhood so she can memorize it by touch and navigate her way home. When she's 12, the Nazis occupy Paris, and the father and daughter flee to the walled citadel of Saint Malo, where Marie-Laure's reclusive great-uncle lives in a tall house by the sea. With them, they carry what might be the museum's most valuable and dangerous jewel. In a mining town in Germany, the orphan Werner grows up with his younger sister, enchanted by a radio they find. Werner becomes an expert at building and fixing things, and has a new talent that wins him a place at the brutal academy for the Hitler Youth. As he becomes more aware of the human cost of his intelligence, Werner travels through the heart of the war, and finally into Saint Malo, where his story and Marie-Laure's converge. Doerr's stunning sense of physical detail and gorgeous metaphors are dazzling. Deftly interweaving the lives of Marie-Laure and Werner, he illuminates the ways, against all odds, people try to be good to one another. Okay, this was written in a way that just made it really difficult for me to read out loud, so sorry about that, but this is the one I'm probably going to be starting tonight. I can't believe I haven't read it yet. I kind of got stumped on the previous book that I was reading and did not like. So I will be reading this one now, and hopefully will have better luck. And with these 5 books today, they all sort of have either a historical or mystery theme, if that's something you are interested in. I typically like to just kind of grab books and go. I think it's more fun that way. If you don't actually know that much about them, it makes them more of a mystery to read as you go. The next one that I'm going to talk about is called You Don't Love This Man, a novel by Dan DeWeese. I don't know how to say that. And this one says, on the morning of his daughter Miranda's wedding, Paul learns that the bank he manages has been robbed, apparently by the same man who robbed it 25 years earlier. As if that weren't enough, Miranda, who is set to marry Paul's former best friend, a man twice her age, seems to have gone missing. Struggling to reconcile his little girl with the grown woman he's about to walk down the aisle, if he can find her, to accept his one-time peer as his future son-in-law, and to comprehend the strange coincidence of being robbed by the same man 2 decades apart, Paul takes stock of everything leading up to this moment, and he attempts to navigate the day's many surprises while questioning the motives and choices of those around him. And this one did say that this is the first book by this author, so I think that will be cool. It sounds like an interesting story, so I'm excited for this one. Next, I picked up this one called The Longest Journey by E.M. Forrester. And this one is like a classic novel. You can tell by the Penguin Classics cover, they all kind of have this format. Usually I don't go for classic type novels, but I have heard about this one, so I figured I would read it while I was kind of on this history or mystery kick. Ooh, that rhymes. Okay, so this one says, and the description is a little bit cut off by the barcode that they put on from the library, but I'll just read the rest that I can read. And this one says, the sensitive and lonely Ricky Elliott quickly becomes immersed in philosophy and literature and overwhelmed by a passionate desire to write. But as the years pass and his stories are not successful, he resigns himself to conformity, resolving to marry the beautiful but shallow Agnes, abandon his writing, and become a schoolmaster at a second-rate public school. Soon, the memory of his idyllic university life falls to nothing as the young man finds himself trapped in a world of petty conformity, bitter disappointment, and agonizing self-doubt. A blend of harsh realism and powerful symbolism, The Longest Journey was Forster's favorite of his novels. Insightful, intimate, and profound, it is also his most autobiographical. a deeply moving portrayal of a man kept from fulfilling his personal desires by a desperate need to do what feels to be morally right. Okay, that sounds really interesting, and I didn't realize it was sort of an autobiography of E.M. Forster, who I don't know that much about, but I have heard just bits and pieces since it is one of those classic novels that has kind of stood the test of time, so I'm interested to read this one. Next, I picked up this one called The Last Midwife by Sandra Dallas, and this one is also written as a New York Times bestseller author, which I feel like so many books are. I don't know what it takes to actually be a bestseller or like top American book, but usually means something good, right? It is 1880, and Gracie Brokens is the only midwife living in a small Colorado mining town where she has delivered hundreds, maybe thousands of babies in her lifetime. The women of Swandike trust and depend on Gracie, and most couldn't imagine getting through pregnancy and labor without her by their sides. But everything changes when a baby is found dead, and the evidence points to Gracie as the murderer. She didn't commit the crime, but clearing her name isn't so easy when her innocence is not quite so simple either. She knows things, and that's dangerous. Invited into her neighbors' homes during their most intimate and vulnerable times, she can't help what she sees and hears. A woman sometimes says things in the birthing bed when life and death seem suspended within the same moment. Gracie has always tucked those revelations away, even the confessions that have cast shadows on her heart. But with friends taking sides and a trial looming, Gracie must decide whether it's worth risking everything to prove her innocence. And she knows that her years of discretion may simply demand too high a price now, especially since she's been keeping more than a few dark secrets of her own. This one sounds really interesting. It sounds like a story that could also be a modern one, but it's set in 1880. So I think that will be cool, and I do enjoy reading historical books somewhat, so I think this will be a good one for me and sounds pretty good. Finally, the last book that I will be sharing today is called Someone, a novel by Alice McDermott, and this one says it's the winner of the National Book Award. This one is quite long, so I will try to keep it brief also, or the description is long. So it says, one life, its devastating pains and unexpected joys, its bursts of brilliant clarity and moments of profound confusion. This is the subject of Someone, Alice McDermott's extraordinary new novel, her first in 7 years. Scattered recollections of a curious childhood, motherhood, and finally old age come together in this resonant story of an unremarkable woman's unforgettable life. We first glimpse Marie as a child, a girl with thick glasses observing her pre-depression world from a Brooklyn stoop. The magic of McDermott's story lie in how the events that follow reveal us all to be fools, dreamers, blinded in one way or another by hope or loss or the exigencies of life and love. In Marie's precise retelling of her own history, everything is connected. Her first heartbreak leads to a career as a funeral director's consoling angel. Delicate brother's brief time as a Catholic priest occasions her happy marriage and the birth of her children. The urban blight that destroys the Irish-American enclave of her childhood parallels the deterioration of her immigrant mother's health and her beloved brother's sanity. The gestures of her young life reverberate into the griefs and the triumphs of her old age. This is a wholly original novel that speaks truthfully of life as it is daily lived, a crowning achievement by one of the finest American writers at work today. This little description here has 3 paragraphs, and the last paragraph is 2 sentences. So if that didn't make sense when I read it, that's why, because it was just one long sentence. Sometimes I honestly just wonder who writes the descriptions of these books. Is it the author? Is it someone else? If you know, let me know. Those are the 5 books I have now on my summer reading list and that I will be reading up next. If you've read any of these books that I mentioned, be sure to leave me a comment below if you read them or what you thought of them. And also feel free to leave any book suggestions down below in the comments for me and for anybody else watching this if you have any favorite books or any books you've read and enjoyed recently. Thank you so much for being here and for spending a few minutes of your day with me. I really do appreciate it, and if you like this video, be sure to give it a thumbs up. You can also subscribe down below and join the community. I am so thankful for you and so glad you are here. I hope to see you again real soon, but in the meantime, be nice to people, be nice to yourself, and do something kind today. See ya!